Welcome to this week's episode of Campbell and Jones Meet the Monsters, the podcast where we chart the cinematic legacy of the classic monsters. I'm John Campbell. With me, as always, Brendan Jones.
Listeners, hello, John Campbell.
Yes, hello indeed.
This is
we got too comfortable last week, Brendan, is what I'll say.
I know. I was thinking this is truly the most yo-yo-y that we've ever. I mean, because Universal, like when we hit a downward thing, it was kind of like, okay, we're just in the trenches, and occasionally a little glimmer of, I kind of liked this.
The other thing that with Universal and with Hammer, even when they dip to bad, you're like, you're still going along a track of a certain level of studio quality, right?
Right,
like,
exactly.
Now we're all over the place. The 70s and 80s have just been, who knows?
Because, of course, we are at the whims of different directors, different filmmakers.
Yeah.
And so we did Howling, which we both really like.
Good.
It's fine. It's great.
Yeah.
And then we did the worst movie we've ever watched.
I mean, once again, in the running for the worst movie I've ever seen.
Yep.
Frankenstein
Then
Island,
we do perhaps our most beloved film.
I said in the running for the best movie we've watched on this podcast. It's arguable.
Yes. And now we have the yo-yo has gone down.
This is maybe the second worst movie we've watched.
Yeah. I think we're going to walk the dog for a while, speaking of yo-yo metaphors. Speaking of walking the dog, wait, what's next week? Tell us now.
It's The Hunger.
All right, the yo-yo is going to come up.
Yeah.
It won't come up incredibly high, but
no, but it's a real movie made by a real filmmaker with good actors. Yep. So like it's something.
But this week we're talking about 1981's. Or is it 82?
No, it's 81. We can't
81.
get out of 81 here, man.
Dawn of the Mummy.
Dawn of the Mummy. Oh, Jesus Christ. This is a movie I knew absolutely nothing about. Once again, a lot of the way I find these titles is I just Google 1980s mummy movies.
Yeah. And actually on IMDb, a lot of people, and I thank them, I'm sure you do as well, a lot of people will make their own lists of things like that. We're just like, I'm being a completist. Here are all the mummy movies and then the years they were made.
And then as we have done, and sometimes some have slipped through, which we've talked about, I will go on and try to read a little bit about them to be like, is this really a mummy movie? You know, or is this just something somebody would consider a mummy? Because we've rejected stuff before for not being a true werewolf movie or vampire movie or whatever. Right. But this is a true mummy movie.
This really is.
But Jesus Christ, man. I did not expect in 2 weeks to watch something that's almost as bad as Frankenstein Island.
It's
just barely better. Like really, it is only slightly better.
It's not good.
No, this is Dawn of the Mummy, directed by Frank Agrama with a screenplay by Frank Agrama, Daria Price,
John,
and Ronald Dobrin.
I don't want to tell you your job.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about a talent like this, you have to put the Frank
Agrama.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a man who directed.
Give the man his respect.
This is a man who directed such classics as The Conquerors, Valley of Death, Love Game, Game of Chance, Gang of Women, Fire of Love, The Godfather. This is Friend, Queen Kong. The movie he made before this is Queen Kong.
Queen Kong, I have seen.
1976 is Queen Kong. Finally, was this
from 1976? Was that the same year that a King Kong movie came out?
I was going to say, was this an early, what we talk about a lot over at the Action Shelf, mockbuster? Yeah, a mockbuster, where they try to make something cheap and quick to get out at the same time as a major studio movie.
Actually, King Kong, 1976 King Kong, did have a lot of those, because I think Mighty Peking Man, the Shaw Brothers film, I have seen. 76.
I have seen that one. I have not had the luck of seeing Queen Kong. I have not had the pleasure.
There was also Goliathon.
I'm aware of that one. Here's the thing. I remember liking that 70s King Kong as a kid. I've never revisited as an adult.
I liked it as a kid too. Yeah. And it doesn't hold up because it is bad.
I've never revisited it, and I'm happy to keep my memories of just a kid who liked Jeff Bridges.
Yeah, and thought that that blonde lady is awfully pretty.
Yes.
That's where it all starts with the lovely Jessica.
Jessica Lange, who, I mean,
Yeah.
by the time I saw it, because once again, though, you'd never know it just from listening to the show, there's an age difference between you and I. If anything, I think people probably listen to the show and think I'm older.
Wow.
This guy's really talking about some,
You can actually hear the age in his voice.
But
He's about to talk about his sciatica.
I was already familiar with Jessica Lange, and I loved Rob Roy as a kid.
Oh yeah.
Rob Roy,
man, that's weird. That we've talked about Rob Roy 2 weeks in a row.
Dude, I love Rob Roy. Rob Roy's awesome, man.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
Now it's no patch on Dawn of the Mummy, but I mean it is good.
yes, of course. This was I didn't catch Liam Neeson in this one.
No.
Listen to me carefully, Mummy. I have a very particular set of archaeological skills. I don't think I think that's the first time I've gotten my Liam on the show, and I do a lot of impressions on here, but I think that's the first time
this is not your normal.
Liam Neeson has showed up. I always say the key to that impression is no matter how American he's supposed to be, he's always at least a little bit Irish.
It's just somewhere in there.
It's just a little bit of a Littleton there.
Yep. And he will kill you for whatever you've taken or whatever it is you've done.
I will find you. And
he'll find you.
Yep. They could have used a Liam Neeson in this movie. They could have used anyone with any talent or charisma
Why
in this movie.
Why would you need a Liam Neeson when you have Johnny Lawrence's knockoff, emotionally disturbed older brother? The guy who Cobra Kai kicked out for being too weird. The world's worst archaeologist.
Oh my God, this guy. Which one? Which was he? Rick?
Yeah, he was Rick.
Yeah, because I will say I had trouble with anyone's name in this movie, despite the fact they're yelling their names a lot in this movie. It's one of those.
Yeah, there was Rick, Tarek, and Kareem were the three tomb breakers.
And then you have Gary
the models.
Gary the model.
Gary the asshole male model, and I can't remember the name of the photographer.
Bill.
Who's an asshole.
Bill is the photographer.
I couldn't remember any of the women's names except for Jenny, who's the one that is the only one I liked in the whole movie.
Jenny, Lisa, Melinda, and June apparently are the...
Oh, there you go.
But as for which one is which, I can't fucking... But this movie, especially down the stretch, did remind me of something I remember Roger Ebert talking about in horror movies, which is when the third act of these movies is just characters yelling each other's names. Jenny! Lisa! Gary! And it's true, man. It's true in this movie.
It is.
But it often is the case in the end of these bad horror movies when it is just... But the problem is, as much as they're saying the names, I'm not associating these names with any particular character.
Well, also, you know what helps with any of that is if you care about them. And I'll say this, I didn't care about anyone in this movie except for maybe Jenny, and I thought she got a raw deal.
Was that the makeup artist?
The makeup artist who's kind of, I'm just the daffy one. I'm just kind of the gal next door who gets her hand horribly mangled, and they don't do a goddamn thing about it but wrap it up.
I love that. That happens early, and that's not they're kind of nonplussed by that. That's not a sign that maybe we shouldn't mess around in here.
No, and in fact, she gets no attention to it whatsoever. You're like, how could you? Because it's not like, oh, I've scalded my hand. It's burned to the bone.
Yeah, I will say.
She's like, oh well. Nah.
I'm looking at these actors in this movie, and not a whole lot of credits for any of them.
Whoa.
Some of them, this is it.
I gotta say, that's surprising.
Some of them, this is absolutely it. I think the biggest.
What about Johnny's brother?
Oh well, that is the great George Peck, and he did some TV after. This is his cinematic debut.
They're all terrible.
Everybody is terrible in this movie across the board. But this is his movie debut. His next movie, by the way, to go from Dawn of the Mummy to Sidney Lumet's Death Trap.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I think he just does.
But he's man on Subway, right? Is that his character name?
Stage actor is what he's actually credited. So,
there you go.
Yeah, he's briefly in it, but still, just that as your first two credits on IMDb is pretty funny. But But and then it's a whole bunch of garbage, and
I don't see how it could be. I don't know
yeah,
what
and it's
you're
just a
getting
whole bunch of garbage. Actually, I'm looking here. I'm not seeing
Weird.
anything worth anyone's time at all. Yeah. Apparently, he was in he played courtroom attorney uncredited in the David Mamet Phil Spector movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I saw that.
yeah, it was pretty good. I
don't remember him doing his I would assume signature laugh. I don't remember him doing that at any
this
point.
This guy's descent into madness at a certain point is really quite something.
I think truth, I don't think it's a descent because he starts off doing basically the same behaviors.
I think
and he stole his entire fashion sense from Hannibal in the A-Team.
Yes, he did. I think because I think that just reads as like Adventure Man.
Yeah. He loves it when a plan comes together. He does say that at one point.
Oh shit, this movie could have used some Papard. Could he once again could have used anyone?
Why use Papard when you got Peck?
Yeah. Gregory? Oh no.
Oh, no.
No.
Wait a minute. Oh, you know what? I don't want to look stupid, so we'll just take this guy. But that is not who I thought it was.
Yeah, I would agree if we were talking about Gregory Peck. But I think the biggest name in this movie is Barry Saddles.
Yeah.
Who just had a career doing like TV guest appearances.
Yeah,
but
I looked that up
at least
too.
has a lot of credits, you know,
sure.
on all the 80s shows. This is basically his first appearance in something.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So this is the dawn of Saddles.
They call it the dawn of Saddles. Then he goes on to Simon & Simon, Remington Steele.
Oh, all the good stuff.
Masquerade.
Oh, Masquerade. I remember that show.
Yeah, man. Rod Taylor.
It's all coming back.
They did 13 episodes. That one didn't go. That was also a Glenn Larson show. Then he does a Hotel, Fantasy Island, a couple Dallases.
Hotel.
The Insiders.
No, that one I don't know.
I don't know this either, actually. Oh my God. Okay.
What happened?
Look up The Insiders because yes, Miami Vice inspired. It is. I'm looking at two knockoff Crockett and Tubbs here. Only these guys are undercover reporters, but they're undercover reporters. So it's Miami Vice reporters. So less exciting.
I think it could have taken off. They just didn't give it enough.
Well, we've got a guy with the craziest Jerry curl I've ever seen on a human being. Look at that.
Well,
hair.
Outside of Coming to America.
Yeah. It is.
Look, he's just letting his soul glow.
Let your soul glow. Yeah. Oh my God.
Good.
Oh, this had to be terrible.
Yeah, this looks bad.
Yeah, I just like it. Miami Vice styled show. You didn't even need to say that.
Tia Carrera was in one episode.
Wow. Yeah. Well, good, she managed to survive that. I don't know who either of these main actors are though. Nicholas Campbell and Stoney Jackson. I can't say I'm familiar. Michael DeBars or whatever. DeBars.
Yeah.
I know him because he was the main villain on MacGyver.
Yeah, and
many other things, but I was a big MacGyver fan. Love me some MacGyver. Anyway, Barry Saddles also did an Airwolf, Hardcastle, and McCormick. Ooh, a Misfits of Science.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
that's a box set you should own.
They don't make it because I would. Here's one. Do you remember, Brandon? This is a Code of Vengeance.
Code of Vengeance, of course.
They only did 4 episodes, so yeah. This looks like. I mean, a lot of these ones this sounds like any other like. He's a Vietnam vet who goes around righting wrongs with his dog. That could be anything. Scarecrow and Mrs. King. I see here. Outlaws. This is how much I don't want to talk about this movie. I'm just reminiscing about old
about Barry Saddles.
Yeah, well, just old 80s. Do you remember Outlaws?
No, that one I don't.
Oh dear God. Okay, this is something, man.
Now
5 cowboys are sent forward in time from 1899 to 1986.
Oh my God, that sounds awesome.
To 1986, where they start their own detective agency. That's also Rod Taylor. Oh my! Wait a minute,
Taylor,
dude, I want to watch this. Okay, so it's Nicholas Correa is the creator. He was the head writer.
Charles Napier.
He's the head writer. But so we've got Rod Taylor, Bill Lucking, Charles Napier, Richard Roundtree.
Oh my God!
I need to find this show.
Is this maybe? Amazing. I'm just gonna throw this out here.
Yeah.
Is this maybe the greatest show that ever was made?
I think so, and unfortunately, they only made 12 episodes of this thing. Why? This is an amazing idea for a show. And like I said, created by Nicholas Correa, who was head writer of the Incredible Hulk TV show.
Good Lord.
Oh, my
They're
God.
jumped up to the present day, a la 1986.
I will say...
And they form a detective agency.
You know what? I would watch that show. I would definitely watch that show.
Is it too late to bring it back?
Let's do it, man. Hey, we always talk about rebooting ideas that maybe didn't work in their time. I would actually consider writing a reboot of that. That's not a bad idea.
I mean, it's a terrible idea, but it's so terrible that it's great.
Yeah, it actually sounds like something that might have hit in the 80s.
It's no Heat, Vision, and Jack, but it sounds like a show that really should have gone somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have to, unfortunately.
The last thing I'll say is clearly Cagney and Lacey is what his biggest claim to fame was, because he did 12 episodes of Cagney and Lacey.
The man worked.
He is the only name. But I will say you're cutting me off before I get to the Father Dowling mysteries, and
because if I don't stop you, it becomes the Father Dowling podcast, and I can't do that with
finally my chance to talk about Father Dowling. Well, next thing I'm going to talk about is the was it Helltown, where Robert Blake was a tough priest?
Oh my God, yeah. I'd forgotten about Helltown.
Oh, yeah. I just love it as an oddity. I don't think I've ever actually even seen anything beyond clips of Helltown, but just what a weird idea for a show.
To be honest, I think and I pride myself on I've watched everything at least for one episode. I think of that one, I remember the ads for it and never watched it.
I've heard tell of it as like a disastrous idea for a show, basically. Did it even last? They did 15 episodes of Helltown.
I think the disappointment over that is what drove him to kill his wife.
God damn it!
Ooh, and now we're a true crime podcast.
God damn it! Helltown didn't work. I'm getting my gun. You see, I went back in the restaurant because I'd forgotten my gun in there. The greatest alibi for a murder ever is I went to get my gun and someone else shot my wife.
I know. I love that. It's just like,
what are you talking? Oh, my gun!
I've got an alibi. I was in the restaurant retrieving the gun that had fallen out of my pocket.
I love the idea of I was sitting in a booth and I guess the gun fell out, must have wedged itself between some seats.
And that's the name of that tune.
Yeah. Oh man. Hey, now let's talk about Beretta. No. Let's talk about the movie Dawn of the Mummy. But first, let's talk about the best thing about this movie, the poster. The poster's not bad.
You know what it reminds me of is the cover to like in the 70s when they would do the black and white magazines, like Warren's magazines, eerie, creepy.
I was gonna say it does
because it's decently painted, comic booky.
It has
mummy
that
rising
look.
out of the ground.
The other thing it looks like to me when you said 70s, I was thinking it looks like an old like horror paperback too.
Yeah.
This might have been a cheap sort of dime store novel mummy book.
This is a mummy that is pretty fit.
Yeah, well, in this mummy, the mummy in this movie does not look like this, by the way.
No, not at all. This is a pretty fit mummy with he's got some wrappings kind of fraying off, he's got glowing white eyes.
I like the way they're fraying off. The detail on that is nice, and he's coming up out of the dirt, and he's coming up out of the sand, and it's like cracking and glowing, like he's exploding out through the ground.
Yeah, the glowing underneath the sand is interesting. Also, he apparently is doing his Bill Murray as Carl impression. Because he's...
Hey, so I got that going for me.
He's got the sideways mouth there.
It's a real Cinderella story about his mummy right here, So I got that going for me.
Wait, what's that, Mr. Rabbit? Oh, no, it's just
man.
Mr. Rabbit's little friend.
We just keep imagining better movies. Bill Murray is the mummy, and,
Man... but we never got him as
whatever. I'm an undead pharaoh from a long time ago. Shit happens, man.
So I got that going for me.
Yeah. You want to see me use my mummy powers?
I got the fist of Khonshu. Got that going.
You got seats for my undead army here. Come on. Can we do something for the boys?
Yeah, something for Cyrus.
Yeah,
maybe for Anubis.
God damn it! I love the idea of lovable slacker mummy. I can take over the world, but I got other priorities right now,
This is my own special blend of Tannis leaves.
Yeah.
And, I roll it into scroll.
Hey, look out, buddy. I'd be careful with those tanner leaves, you know what I mean? That's pretty strong stuff.
It's pretty strong. It's gonna give you a pretty good kick.
He and Chevy Chase are sharing a giant joint of tanner leaves.
Cannonball!
Yeah.
Cannonball! Jesus. We really don't want to talk about this movie.
Jesus,
but,
no, why would we? There's no movie here. Anyway, behind him is his Army of the Dead.
His Army of the Dead.
Which is very... I mean, here's the other thing. This movie is a mummy movie, but it's really a zombie movie, right? Like, at a certain point.
This is similar to when we were talking about Humanoids from the Deep. What's interesting about these early 80s movies that aren't very original, like, say, American Werewolf in London, is the fact that they're blendering. They're like, we know what's been hot over the last few years. So things from slasher movies are in here. Night of the Living Dead is in here. So it's got a zombie movie thing. And what they've done is they've taken the gore and the tropes of like, because the fashion models are just the teens at the summer camp.
Yeah.
And they're just repeating that, but trying to tack it onto a classic monster.
Throw some hotties, have them run around, have them get killed in gory fashion. But hey,
have them take nothing seriously until they start getting picked off one by one.
Yeah, and you talk about until they get picked off one by one. There's a lot of this movie with no mummy action by any stretch of the imagination.
That's true.
Good God, I just can't. This is a movie. The first hour of this thing is impossible to sit through.
But we get a lot of mentions of the curse.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of foreboding apparently in this movie.
From people just walking around, everyone knows about this curse.
Hey, you hear about that mummy curse?
That priestess at the very beginning, if she said one more time,
the curse,
because he will rise again and kill.
I know, and I love.
He will rise and kill.
I think my favorite part is when they push her away, and then she just runs to some other people and says it.
Yeah, it's like, wait, you don't get it. The tomb is open. He's gonna kill.
Those people don't listen to me here. Hey, you guys, he will rise and kill.
Well,
like,
the people she runs to the next people she runs to are locals.
Yeah.
So it's like she's like going, you guys will listen, right? Because you know me.
Yeah,
you're local. He's back and he's gonna kill.
Lovable local kook. Come on.
What is the name of the mummy? They say it a million times. It's almost like Saruman, but it's not.
No, the Tolkien estate would have been all over that shit.
It's something similar, though. I kept listening to it, and I couldn't figure out what the name was. I'm looking at other people's reviews to see if
I know. I can't find any info that says it, and I don't remember because this movie.
Yeah, it's not like
I watched this last night.
A pharaoh name or something. It's just like
Saruman. I watched this last night. It's already leaving my head. Like we're on a ticking clock here doing this podcast for how much of this I remember.
Here's one.
Yeah.
This guy in his review claims that it's Pharaoh Sepharama. Sepharama.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Yeah, it's something with an S. Who gives a shit? I mean, you know who doesn't give a shit? The makers of this movie, man.
It's very true.
This movie is just God. Much like Frankenstein Island, the film is lazy. The actual movie itself is somehow lazy.
Yeah.
Eesh.
Well,
Jeez.
I mean, it's terribly shot, terribly written. Like even just normal dialogue, if they're not trying to do all the horror tropes, even when it's just characters talking to characters, I wrote stuff in high school creative writing that is better.
100%. I would. Yeah. I same here.
Literally, there's dialogue about where are we going now? Over there. I think the light is better. We'll take pictures there. Will we be done with the set then?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not getting the photos I would like for our set.
How many scenes are there of we have to leave now? No, we just need a couple more days to get these photos. Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
There's like 4 scenes that have that exact pattern.
Even though her literal hand was just acid melted into bone, don't worry about it. We have to get these photos done.
These women get hysterical. Then the guy's like, come on. And they're just like, oh, okay. And they're suddenly back to being just like, what?
No, that's the kind of attention to, character motivation and story, because people turn on a dime. They're either I love how they do go from ridiculously panicked, because the very first, not the first thing we see, but that scene where, oh, we finally found the place, and then the couple goes up to the dune and she rolls down and she sees the severed head. That's the first horror moment for the models,
and I can't believe that doesn't, like, she screams and then it's never mentioned again. What
I love about that is, like, she screams. Everyone comes over to see what it is. They're all horrified. It's a severed head sitting there in the sand. One of the guys, maybe it's, I can't remember which one of the guys, but does his arms back as if he's protecting the ladies from the severed head.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, oh, I'm sorry, is it advancing on you? And they back away while they're screaming, and he has his arms out. Oh, I won't let that severed head get anywhere near you, ladies.
You'll be happy to know that I'm also looking at this. Barry Saddles is still working.
Yes.
He was in a movie called Body of Night in 2020, which appears to be a erotic thriller.
I didn't know they still made those.
Of the softcore variety. It looks like they do, because now, when you click on a movie...
John, that means I'm re-upping my Cinemax subscription, if you know what I mean.
Because I'm looking at these other movies, right? Because when you go to a movie, it says, like, more like this, and I'm seeing what looks like a bunch of these, and I'm just trying to figure out, where is the market for these? Because I don't think...
That's true. I don't know.
Cinemax doesn't do
I
After
don't think
Dark
there's a
stuff
cable thing anymore. I really thought that genre had just died out.
God, these must just be like, I don't know.
What is this, 1995?
Yeah, just going like, who's the audience for this? Probably the same guys who are watching the Action Shelf movies.
Someone's got to keep bad action and softcore porn going.
Yeah, that's pretty
and sometimes, in a world that's so inundated with just porn, I think that market is totally dead.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh, it's everything you want out of porn, but with story and none of the explicitness.
Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, back to this movie. We can go through this movie pretty quick, I think, similar to Frankenstein Island, because we've already discussed what like 7 of the scenes are that are just like they have that argument. But I do want to talk about, we start in Egypt, 3000 BC.
We do. And I will give them this. There's actual location shots of this in Egypt.
Yeah.
They spent at least maybe a week getting some actual Egypt.
Yeah.
Then there's a scene in the desert featuring cacti that had me laughing out loud. Guess what Egypt doesn't have a lot of?
I think it's cacti.
Cicadas?
Right. Yeah, no.
Which we hear a lot of at night. Mm-hmm. Cicadas and cacti.
Yep.
Not gonna be so Egyptian desert.
No, I don't often see that whenever I see images of Egypt. So yes,
nope. I just love it's like, well, it's night. We got to have those bugs.
Egypt, home of the cacti.
Yeah, home of cacti. Jesus.
So so we have we have these riders chasing people out into the desert and whipping them.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to this funeral ceremony as they're burying Samata Waka or whatever his name is.
Safarama.
Safarama. It's a Safarama here in Egypt.
So yeah, there's a priestess overseeing the burial in a tomb of a pharaoh who is all wrapped up, and she's talking about the curse laid on this thing of like, no one can open this tomb or go for the gold, which belongs to him. And if they do, he's going to rise up and kill with his army.
Yes.
And the army, as we see, is literally maybe 6 guys.
Yeah.
Who are entombed with him.
This is my favorite part, when they close up the sarcophagus and they all just put their heads down on it and go like, yeah, we're going to sleep for a couple thousand years.
They look like, and they're standing, which is hilarious, but they look like they were in, they did something naughty in class.
Yes.
And they were told to put their heads on the desk.
Yes.
Because they do. They all just sort of lean their heads down on top of the sarcophagus as they close the tomb, and then gas or whatever fills the thing. And we're like, okay, is that preserving them? They're just standing there.
I don't know, because they talk about it a lot later when the gas is released, when they open the,
Yeah. Plus, I thought it was
Jesus.
funny that when they do open the tomb later on and they do find the sarcophagus later on, there aren't piles of bones of those people. So I don't know how they went from that pose 3,000 years ago to being buried at various points where they rise up out of the sand.
Yeah, I don't know.
Why aren't they still there standing, or now just a pile of bones on the floor?
And we do have the priestess go, "Whoever opens this tomb shall meet death," or whatever, you know.
Yeah, and she says it 85 times.
Yep. Then it cuts to modern day, and we immediately see some guys dynamiting their way into this.
Yeah.
And we
Here's
meet...
the thing. Again, they're clearly, there's two locals, so there's two Egyptian guys helping a blonde
Rick.
American.
It's me, Rick.
Rick, who does look like Johnny Lawrence.
He
from
does
Cobra Kai.
William Zabka, yeah.
Does look like Zabka, and is always smoking
Zabka
a little cigar.
Zabka would have been better. He would have been pretty young here, but still, Zabka would have been better.
Anybody would have been. You would have been better. I would have watched it if you were.
I would love to have played Rick in this.
This guy his acting style is really uneven, and when he is either getting excited or trying to be macho or getting angry, he goes to a pitch that is so wrong. It's so big and strange.
Well, I will say, if you were a fan of his work, you can see him as the lead in 1998's Curse of the Puppet Master.
I will be looking it up. Thank you. Is that the same one that what's his name from The Room was in?
Oh,
because his friend who wrote the book. Hey, Brian.
Yeah.
Hey, Mark.
I don't think he's in this. I don't think he's in this one, but he is in one of.
He is in one of the Puppet Masters because I read his book. It was actually quite good. And I read it was very entertaining.
I read the book and saw them and enjoyed both. There's a lot of Puppet Master movies.
That's true.
Of Puppet.
Thank God we're not covering those. Anyway,
someday, man.
Puppet Master versus Demonic Toys.
Yeah.
Oh, full moon features. Charles Band. Let's not get into.
Well, they've gone full Nazi now. I don't know if you know about that.
There was always one that was a Nazi, wasn't
it? There was a Nazi one, right? And then now that's the way they've continued forward. Is they're all centered around Nazis now.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
So they know their audience. Anyway, but I can't wait to buy those tie-in action figures. But here, this guy, his way of archaeology, you always kind of want it to be, because we never know how he found the tomb.
Yeah.
We just do see him immediately blowing it open and going, "There it is!
There it is, boys!"
He's about as good. He's less Indiana Jones and more one of those drunk rednecks that drives their car through the doors of a 7-Eleven to rob it.
I'll tell you the
closest. It's locked up, no problem.
The closest Indiana Jones character he is the guy at the start of Last Crusade who's like dirtbag Indiana Jones. He's kind of that guy who's just stealing shit from a cave and going like, "Yeah, that's right."
He's supposed to be crass. I mean, obviously he's supposed to be uncouth. He's a grave robber more than he is anything.
Yeah.
But it just, oh my God, the way this is. Yeah. All right. So they get in.
Yeah.
And they immediately are like, "Oh, we found the tomb." And they're immediately disappointed that they can't find the gold.
They stumble right into a soundstage with paper mache.
It looks better than some of the Mummy movies we've seen.
But it looks about on par with a lot of the Hammer shit with this.
Yeah. And actually better than a couple of the Hammer. I will say, I'm not saying this movie's good in any way.
But those Hammer movies.
But I was sitting there going, "Oh, the set dressing in this is okay."
Yeah. So they come in there, but of course this old woman is like, "No, you shouldn't."
Well, the old woman is the priestess from 3,000 years ago. That's never addressed, by the way.
Yeah.
She just has old age makeup on and like a gray wig.
Yeah.
And she's like going, "No, you've done it. You've opened the tomb."
Well, actually, they don't go in immediately here because they have to let the poison air out.
Right. It's like, well, wait till morning. All that bad air has to get out of there.
But of course, one of them sneaks back that night.
Yeah, and he's like, "Fuck that air nonsense. I'm getting me some of that sweet gold."
No, he goes in there, man, and immediately gets what I call, and several people have it in this movie, a terrible case of goo face.
Yeah, he gets goo face like you wouldn't believe.
There's always
this running thing of maybe there's something corrosive about the touch of the mummy later on in the movie.
Yeah, that's introduced at some point, and it had not been in there before that. I'm going like, wait, what?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, because the
mummy does kill people in lots of different ways, including like using weapons, and it's not always just choking them.
And also, like, why? And why is he killing them to begin with? Why is he picking up weapons when he uses a meat cleaver? Like,
yeah,
because once you talk about, they're all just doing like he's just Jason as a mummy, you know, like he's just.
It is true.
He's just whoever, just whatever. It just is a slasher movie until it's a zombie movie, and I guess at some point it was kind of a mummy movie.
Yeah, well, because there's a mummy every now and then.
You also get these close-ups a lot of before he fully awakes, where he's either emitting some kind of steam or a black goo.
Yeah, again, they're showing. I thought it was supposed to indicate maybe that's him reviving in a way, because when we first see the mummy, it's very fully wrapped.
Yes,
and then when it finally does rise, the wrappings are close to the body, and its face is not covered anymore. It's kind of black.
You know what would be cool, and there's no way this has the effect, but like I'm imagining, and I'm bummed this never happened. Imagine like a Rick Baker or Rob Bottin mummy, where it starts as a shriveled corpse in wrappings, and then it slowly like comes back into being a person. More in the body, it's bones.
Well, technically, the very first Mummy movie, they
did that. I mean, to a certain extent.
He rises, and then the next time we see him, he's not wrapped anymore.
Still the best mummy we've seen by far.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's still that Karloff one. I know we're going to see a better one because I have already talked about how much I love 99's Mummy.
Well, maybe a better Mummy movie. I'm not sure better Mummy. Sorry, CG Mummy guy. I'm just not a big Arnold Vosloo fan.
I love Vosloo's performance, though. He's certainly...
Maybe it's because I'm still angry that he was given those Darkman sequels.
Yeah, that was bad. I will say he is a more formidable mummy than Karloff's mummy.
He's very formidable because he has these crazy cooked-up supernatural abilities.
Yeah, he's a comic book
now I'm
villain.
a sandstorm!
That's cool, man. We'll talk about it someday.
Yeah, we'll talk about it in about 4 years.
He's very comic booky, which is what I like about him.
It is very.
Not that far off, man. We're in the 80s now. That's the end of the 90s, so.
Dude, it's going to be about 6 years till we get there.
That'll
be after we've gotten through all the howlings. All the howlings.
No, believe it or not, there's at least one howling after 99. They come out they go into the 2000s, man.
Oh God.
Howling 8, you know.
God help us.
You know what though? Watching this movie last night, I went, bring on some Howling sequels. Actually,
this thing is so.
They will be better than this. I can guarantee that. Even Howling at its worst isn't going to get this bad.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to play. We'll play this clip of me saying that back by the time we're on like Howling 6. And I'm like, never mind. Dawn of the Mummy was a lot better. So anyway,
you really put your foot in it there, Campbell.
So the poison gives the guy goo face. Cut to Dawn of the Mummy.
Yeah.
Oh man. And immediately you're going, boy, if that's the big go to title scare, we are in for a long 90 minutes here. This is not a long movie, but it felt long watching it last night. I'll say that. 93 minutes.
This one is intolerable, but I did find it easier to watch than Frankenstein Island. I did watch it in one sitting.
Oh, same here. Yeah, this one I was able to sit through at least.
And as we both commented before we got rolling, this really does need to be riff tracks because this one did have me laughing.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
And there are such ridiculous scenes and dialogue. I was like, someone's got to do this.
The thing about it versus Frankenstein Island, it is slightly more competent. It is slightly more of a movie. You know what I mean? Like
I like they all slightly.
Yeah, it's just because it's just a little bit more competent. It has a little bit more of a story you can follow, even if you don't give a shit about anything. I was at least baseline understanding what everyone was doing, unlike Frankenstein Island where from scene to scene you had no idea what was happening. At least in this I could follow point A to point B, even if a lot of it didn't make sense logically. It made sense just from progression of events.
Yeah, it's such a low bar. I just sit there going like, good for you, movie.
Yeah,
look at you trying.
There's a linear series of events to follow here.
You know what movie? I'm gonna put a gold star next to your name.
So our opening titles are New York City, and they're out like in Central Park or whatever, just snapping photos of these models. Dun dun, it's a modeling montage in an 80s movie.
It really is.
Yeah.
Oh God.
And
She's got like the model's got like your typical aerobics gear on, including a headband kind of thing.
What I'm about to say, I don't mean to be mean to any of these women, but none of them really look like fashion models. They're all attractive women, but they don't have the look of that would be what they're trying to portray them as. Here's what I'm saying.
Well, that's only because you never did see the final photo shoot, which really would have turned you around, especially when you saw the photos of them with some weird ass makeup smeared on their faces.
I'll also say the what they're wearing and how they're designed is also weird. Like everything about it is just like you're just going like they are models and a photographer, but we never get the answer for what.
It's true. I think it's supposed to be a photo spread for maybe a magazine, but we never.
I'm kind of piecing that together, right? Like
it's true. I don't think they ever mention the magazine or show it.
Yeah.
But there's a main photographer guy who apparently we see him being very professional. Then later on, he'll become almost Ahab-like in his his driven obsession to get just the right photo shoot done.
I like Columbo jumped up here and like if we've mentioned him before, but just as you mentioned Ahab, and he's just like, what Moby Dick references? He's a big Melville cat.
Yeah, understood.
Yeah.
Why don't you go somewhere and read Bartleby the Scrivener? Okay, just revisit that one. All right,
buddy. There you go. Move on.
Go read some Type E. Okay,
Thank you, cat.
Billy Budd.
Yeah. So so they're snapping pictures, and then it just goes with almost no explanation from this montage to they are in Egypt.
Yeah.
You're like, whoa, okay.
They're like immediately, and they're in a Jeep, and they're trying to sketch in the personalities of the models because one of them is
not well.
Yeah. What is one of them? The makeup artist.
Yeah, there's
the one I like.
Yeah, there's the makeup artist. There's 3 models and 3 female models and 1 male model. Is that right?
Right.
Yeah.
And
Gary.
And there's 2 Jeeps for them. So in one Jeep, you've got the brunette model, and she's ignoring. What is she trying to do? Paint her toenails or something while they're in the Jeep?
Yeah.
And the makeup artist is like, what are you doing? You should be looking around. That's the Great Pyramid of Cheops. And this is literally on location. They are driving next to the pyramid. You're like, wow. And the model's like, yeah, whatever. When you've seen one, you've seen them all.
Here's the problem,
and in the other Jeep.
I was going to say, here's the problem with they are in Egypt and they are driving by the pyramids, but the film stock is so cheap that it still looks like garbage, even though you have the actual, production value of real pyramids.
The whole thing looks like garbage.
The whole thing looks like. That's the thing. There's a problem.
Anchor Bay. This is the version that the version that we both watched is the Anchor Bay re-release.
Did you watch this? Did you watch this on Amazon or?
No, on IMDb.
Oh yeah, IMDb TV, which is owned by Amazon. So I watched it on Amazon through IMDb TV. Yeah.
They did was
you got commercials too, which really adds to the enjoyment of this.
They put the gore back in.
Yes. I was just
which
looking.
Was the main thing that was cut.
I was just looking. The only difference between the 2 cuts apparently is 27 seconds of footage. So
okay,
we're not looking at a huge difference.
The thing is, Anchor Bay clearly did nothing to.
I mean, dude, I don't
clean this up because it looks like garbage.
And I don't think you can really. Like it would require a lot of work to clean up this very crappy 16mm shot movie.
What I was saying is in the other Jeep we are introduced to. There's the black model, and
which unfortunately is her only discerning quality is she's black. Unfortunately,
she has a couple of lines but they're just like, oh god, that one line later in the movie. It's like, so do you miss your boyfriend? And she goes, yeah. Is he good looking? She goes, oh, he's tall and dark. And she goes, really? The other model goes, really? She goes, very dark.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He's a dark
I'm
elf.
glad that was something they wanted to write into the
Well,
movie.
Brandon, what you didn't know is she's dating Malekith from the Thor
Okay,
comics. So she's literally dating a dark elf.
Literally dating a dark elf who wants to bring an age of darkness on the entire 9 realms.
Oh, he's great. He's very intense. And he's always
he has a skin like part of his face is a little messed up, but other than that,
he's very hunky though, and he's got a sick bod.
It takes him all day to do his braids. So
and he just keeps talking about this Thor guy. He's gonna get him.
But in that Jeep, there's the male model. What I thought was funny was
Gary.
Not funny, good, is they're like going, the other Jeep will have another model who's distracted. So in this one, Gary's not looking around and is like, he's like, hey, could you stop the bumping? Because I'm trying to roll a joint. So that's our introduction
I'm the
to Gary, the male
party
model.
Guy. That's
Who
Gary.
gives a shit about the pyramids?
Yeah.
I'm trying to roll a joint.
I want to talk for just a second about John Salvo, who plays Gary here. Because I looked here. This is one of 4 acting credits he has. He was in his last acting credits in 1996, where he played Convict in an episode of Murphy Brown. By the way, a show that's not streaming anywhere, which I find very odd because that was a very successful.
What is the thing with Murphy Brown? I mean, why has it sort of disappeared? Other than the fact that they did, reboot it.
Yeah, and that
not reboot it, sequelized.
Oh, and that was terrible. I watched that. Yeah. I watched the first episode of that. And it was awful. But I mean, this was a long-running show. I used to watch Murphy Brown as a kid. I loved Murphy Brown.
It was great. Yeah, it was.
Anyway,
great.
The other thing he did was he was in George Washington 2: The Forging of a Nation. This was the second of the Barry Bostwick George Washington movies.
I don't think I watched the second one. I did watch the first one and I liked it. We've even talked about it.
We have. That's why I bring this up. Barry Bostwick, Patty Duke, George Washington 2.
And this guy.
And this guy, who, by the way, is credited as being in it, but they don't even bother to give him a character name. He's just in it. Which I don't... That's not... he plays Gary in this.
I think he probably literally just leads a horse to George Washington at some point.
And also, I love that that's his second acting credit 5 years after this.
Oh my God.
A nameless character in George Washington 2.
He did a lot on the stage. He's more of a stage actor. You can tell.
All of his credits are 5 years apart. 81, 86, 91, 96, and that's it. Then he's done.
Maybe he goes into periods of hibernation where he's storing up his acting energies.
Or he's just so fucking high because all he cares about is rolling those joints, man. This wasn't acting. That was between the scenes footage.
And they're like, well, should we put that in? Yeah, it kind of fits the character.
Well, then remember his whole thing later in the movies, he's trying to find hookah, which I do think hookah is often misportrayed in films as a drug of some kind.
Well, the thing is that you can put all kinds of things in there. So, yeah, you can totally smoke.
It's a process of how you're smoking. Yeah, to be fair,
It's just, the hookah itself is just a water pipe.
Yeah.
Like a bong.
But every movie I see, people are going like, "Whoo, man." Actually, one of the best, we watched a Christian action movie over on the Action Shelf.
Wow.
And they had a scene that was supposed to be like a drug den. And one of the things was they had a hookah. And they were smoking it, and it's supposed to be like a crack house, and they're smoking from a hookah. And you're going like, oh, I don't think so.
Well, that just means they're exotic druggies. They're not just druggies.
Yeah.
They're exotic.
But it's supposed to, they're all supposed to be like a flop house where they're all strung out, and one guy's taking a hit of a hookah. That made us laugh.
But you don't know what's in
much.
it. It could be hash or opium.
Probably not, though, in this what's supposed to clearly be like a meth house.
Device.
But it's a hilarious thing where it's like, this is clearly a church-produced movie where drugs are that, and pills. People are doing pills. Okay. Anyway, back to this movie. Why though? My next note just says sand dune frolicking.
Yeah, this is where they're like, oh, this will be a wonderful place to shoot, and then they're running around enjoying the scenery, and this is where I think the blonde model...
Yeah, this is the next thing. She rolls down the sand dune onto a severed head.
All right, so the couples, I think, blonde model and photographer, right?
Yeah.
Gary, and, well, he likes the brunette, but nothing ever happens there, because she ends up with Johnny Lawrence. So I think we find out later that makeup artist girl has had a crush on him the whole time.
Sure. But she's so
Sure.
plain Jane makeup artist girl.
Yeah, she's played like she would be the fat best friend, but she's not fat. But they're playing her like that.
It's the
oh
classic.
golly, you girls are so gorgeous. Oh well, whatever.
I want TV ugly. It's that kind of thing. Where you're going where you're going
we want it to be homely, but hot homely.
In a realistic setting, you would find this girl very attractive if she walked into a party or something.
Yeah,
but in this movie, she's
a cutie.
But like I said, they're all kind of normal attractive women, which is kind of
I will say that
odd
let's keep
for the
in
plot.
mind this is a low budget film.
Yeah,
they probably got
they have what they have. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So she rolls onto this decapitated head, and then it kind of just cuts.
The head is we should say the head is the guy who isn't that the head of the guy who went in the night before, or one of the other dudes?
I think so. Once again, it's very hard for me to keep track of who a lot of these characters are in this movie.
So they freak out,
because all the Egyptian
as you
guys
say,
dress
they don't
the
really
same.
mention it again.
No, then it just cuts away. She starts screaming, and it cuts away.
And then they're like, "Oh, I don't want to shoot against all this backdrop because it's just dunes. So let's find a better backdrop." And then they're like, "Look over there. There's some caves and some rocks. Okay, that looks good." Now they have intersected.
Oh, not just yet. They make camp here first before they intersect. At least
but it's like a 30-second scene.
I know, but I want to bring this up because of this. We see them at the. This is word for word what my notes are here. Models set up camp. Some jackass has a guitar.
Yeah.
Scene over.
Yeah, that's it. It's
that's why I wanted to bring it up. What is this scene?
There's no reason. It's night, and they have clearly made camp, and Gary's the asshole with the guitar.
I did not yet know his name was Gary at this point.
Tuned.
Yes. They showed Gary with the guitar a lot, and I thought, any kind of party or anything, you're always like, some jackass is busted out.
Oh my God. The scene later on where he actually sings a song that he has written.
How badly did you need John Belushi to come in here and smash that guitar, man?
Very badly. And at the same time, I wanted to have that loaded into my iTunes because I found that melody haunting.
So they're driving around looking for a new location, and they wait a minute, is this the gas unit models? Oh yeah. They're looking for a new location. Meanwhile, the grave robbers have entered the tomb now, and what's going to bring them together? What's going to bring them together is people start shooting at the models.
Well, they do because they're guarding very closely.
The guys they leave outside start shooting. Yeah,
and they're like, "Hey, we're just." Photographer and models, stop shooting. And they're like, "Oh dude, whatever." And they're like, this is the scene when they get up there, they're like, "Well, what's in there?" Like, it's a tomb. We found some stuff.
Let's check it out, girls. And they all just barrel in.
They just barge in.
I was laughing so hard at this part. They're like, "Let's check it out." And then immediately the photographer guy is just like, "This is perfect. What an amazing find. We'll shoot all our photos in here and a real live mummy."
This is exactly how it is written and goes. And it's so terribly stupid.
This was the part of the movie where at this point I'm going like, all right, man, I don't know where the fuck this movie's gonna go, but okay, movie, if this is how we're gonna play it.
And then they do the whole thing of you don't have permission to be in here. It's like, well, we do because we're on, whatever the museum gave us the rights, and they're like, well. Who cares? You'll let us in, right? And then they just
because the other guys in the group go, "We got to get these people out of here." And Rick goes, "No, it's fine. They're just here for the location. They're not looking for treasure like we are, so they're not going to bother us." I think it's also like, "Hello, ladies."
I think that's the implication, but again, it's just so. I just like you said, I was laughing at the whole idea of them. It'd be like you go to a construction site where they're putting up a building and they're like going, you need a hard head into this area, and there's nothing to see anyway, and you're like going, "Wow, look at this, I'm going to drive this Caterpillar," and you're up there and you're moving shit around. Oh God, it's so stupid.
No, it really made me laugh, and it's so instant. There was
Care if we do this, do you?
Yeah.
Yes, I do. Very
it's
much.
okay.
So.
They don't want treasure, so they set up. They start shooting. This is where we see the mummy at this point, as they're taking photos, start leaking black goo.
Yeah.
Then the Rick cuts the cord to their light, so they can't shoot anymore.
Yeah, it's weird. He's like, it's not a big deal. We can let them in here or whatever because they're not interested in our find.
Yeah.
And then he fucks with them.
I know. I thought that was really strange.
Weren't you okay with it a couple seconds ago?
And it's here in the dark that makeup artist touches something.
It's one of the Coptic jars that had, but for some reason the organs that are inside of it are still fresh.
And it's leaking goo. It's leaking goo that burns through her hand.
She literally shoves her hand. It's like you were in one of those haunted houses because it's like she accidentally is putting her hand down and she puts it into intestines that are acidic.
Put your hand in this bowl of zombie brains.
That's exactly it. And then she shrieks, and it has eaten through her hand.
To the bone. It's insane.
To the bone.
And they're like, she's like, my hand. And they're like, we'll just wrap it up. It'll be fine.
And you're like, oh no, it'll be okay. It'll be okay. And you're like, wow, you guys are good friends.
Yeah. I just read her hand is mangled.
It is gross looking. Some of the makeup in this movie is okay. Some of it's the worst thing I've ever seen.
Yeah. Meanwhile, one of the guys, all the Egyptian guys, they dress identical, so I can't tell who anybody is. One of them.
Well, I think the one guy has that ridiculous shirt that really bugged me.
Oh, there's that guy. That guy does
the
stand
open
out.
Shirt that goes down. Yeah, but it has these two flaps.
Yes, that
and
guy
if it's
I
a
do
normal
recognize.
Shirt that you'd unbuttoned, then those flaps would kind of move around. This thing looks like those are designer window because they're pinned. So it's sort of like, hey. Noticing my man cleavage?
Perfect. This will show off my chest. I was looking, finally a man's shirt with a neckline I've been looking for.
Hello, ladies. Thank me later.
Yeah, it's from the Hello Ladies line. Admiring my impressive chest hair.
There's, as I said, there's Tariq. Who I think was the guy who went in and died.
Yeah. Well, we have another guy who comes in here on his own to find the gold.
Kareem.
This guy who comes in here and he's like, "Oh, yes, the gold, I found it." Because he finds, number one, the fakest looking gold props.
Oh, well, I think you're jumping ahead. But he sneaks in later, and what he does is, like, they're stumped because they're happy they found this tomb.
It's this guy. Yeah, he finds the gold. That's the next thing.
Yeah, but I think it happens. Oh, is it the next scene?
Her hand is mangled. She screams, and the next note I have is guide returns to find gold.
Okay, so what it is they found the tomb, and they're like, but there's no gold. It's a good find, but we want the sweet, sweet gold.
But this guy,
so he comes in.
This guy finds gold simply by digging deeper into the sarcophagus. Goes, oh, here's the gold.
Well, no. Even more impressive is he comes in and says, he talks to the pharaoh. Goes, "Where's your damn gold?" He goes, "I know where it is." And he takes the knife out. It's not the sarcophagus.
Oh no, he cuts into the mummy.
The mummy.
Yeah, that's what it is.
And then it's like somehow not only was it wrapped, maybe it was actually buried inside the body cavity.
Yeah.
But he finds the little staves. I don't know what they're called, but the little staves that a lot of mummies have.
They look like a school play prop, man.
But they do look like we need those things that King Tut had. He's like, no problem. I'll get some gold paint.
They just took like wooden, doweling rods or whatever and spray painted them.
And what's hilarious is he finds these two pieces and then he goes, "Ha ha! I did it!
No,
I found all the gold."
I do like where he's just like, "Yes, the gold! I found it! Yes!" And then the whole wall opens up behind him.
The whole wall opens up behind him, and then he actually finds the actual gold. Like, there's a whole gold room, and he's like, oh shit.
This really made me laugh though, because he just walks in enough to stand under the door so the door can just lower onto his head and knock
the door is one of those like trap like secret hideaway thing. So
it
it's
slides
actually
up
a big
and down.
slab of stone
and it goes
that
up.
goes up.
Oh, it's
and
not.
it
It's not
reveals-
stone. It's cardboard, clearly. But
yes, and it's the room full of gold. But he stands right in the doorway, which allows the stone door then to drop down and go, gotcha.
But I thought it was going to crush him. No, it just drops down enough just to clunk him in the head.
Yeah, but then it does actually come down again.
It comes down again,
and
but
then
it still
goes
doesn't...
back up, and he gets dragged away.
Yeah, and I don't quite know what any of this is.
But it reminded me of the time I got hit by the guard arm at Warner Brothers when I worked there.
Yeah, it's that level that this guy gets hit.
Because it came down right on my head, and I was staggered. And I was like, oh, fucking hell.
Meanwhile... we cut to this poor makeup artist who's trying to apply makeup with her one good hand. She's like,
and she's talking. She's like, I'm sorry, I'm not doing so well, but I'm working with one hand here.
I also like the idea that this, once again, burned to the bone, isn't worth a trip back to town.
No, I know.
It's just you wrap a bandage around
it later to like shop for necklaces.
Yeah,
and I'm like, well, maybe they should have taken her back to a hospital.
Hey, look, I'm doing the best I can here, boss, but one of these hands ain't no good no more.
You see what I have to work with.
Yeah. Everything leads back to Batman 89.
Yep.
You'll see what 89. I have to work with. But the mummy is stirring here.
It is. It's very stirring.
My next note just says, guitar asshole, at it again. I think this is where he's playing the full song that you're talking about.
Yeah, I think this is where he decides to serenade one of the models of like, oh, listen to this. I've been working on this. And he sings a song, and it's terrible.
Yeah, the names and stuff. So then it just says, they find body with smushed head.
And that's probably the guy that just got...
I think so. Once again, this is why all my notes are like they find a body. I don't quite know who it is. The movie's really bad at indicating who is what. But
and as you say, they shout people's names a lot, but you have no idea who the hell they're talking about.
And then, but then there's another goo-faced guy here who grabs at one of the models and she runs away screaming. So there's the smushed head, and then there's a just melting face guy.
Melting face guy, I think, is our first glimpse of the Army of the Dead.
Maybe it is. Because I will say at a certain point it is like, well, who is been burned by the mummy? Who is a zombie? Which one is the mummy? And especially at the end of the movie, everything is so dark I can't see anything anyway.
It is so terribly shot too. Yeah, that you're like, I'm not sure what's happening at the end when it becomes the free-for-all Dawn of the Dead thing.
We'll get to it, but my last notes, I kind of gave up because I'm like, I can't see anything that's happening in this movie. I'm sorry, I don't know who anyone is, or I literally can't see.
I think that's a failure on your part, and I'm going to apologize on your behalf to our listeners.
Dude, I'm watching this on a large screen 4K television. I should be able to see this. No, I can't.
You're asking for the moon.
You can't see the end of this movie.
It's kind of true.
Really
does that mean you didn't catch the great sequel setup?
No, I did catch that. I saw that.
Okay,
once the fire is going, I can see stuff again,
Yeah.
The stuff in the town I can see. It's the attack out at the tent campsite that I can't see. That stuff
you didn't
is
see brunette lady getting chowed down on? No, actually, makeup lady gets chowed down on.
Yes,
brunette lady gets sucked down into the sand.
Yeah, there's a couple. Yeah, I do like. Why are they eating? One of my notes is just, why are they eating people?
Yeah, the Army of the Dead apparently are full-on zombies. Yeah, it's the mummy not so much.
No, the mummy just kind of watches all the chaos and is like,
and kills people.
Yes, but truly murders people like a human would,
And for a pharaoh that's returned to wreak vengeance on the world of the living, he doesn't have much of a point of view. Doesn't say much. Doesn't really let us know what he's thinking.
Yeah. Meanwhile, though, Rick is hooking up with one of these models.
Rick. This is so weird.
Yeah. All right. Our blonde grave robber friend.
Rick. What he goes from trying to sabotage them
Yeah.
to then he's worked out an uncomfortable like agreement with them. Like, all right, guys, look, I'm sorry about what happened to your makeup lady and whatever, and it's okay, just stay out of my way. And the photographer goes, we don't care what you found. We don't care about the gold. We just want to do these photos and get the hell out. He's like, all right, okay, that's fine. And he's making goo-goo eyes at the brunette. Later, the brunette, she's the one that gets approached by goo face guy.
Mm-hmm.
She freaks out, and then Johnny Lawrence, Rick, goes to her aid, picks her up, and takes her to her tent as if he's concerned about her. And then when she does come back to consciousness, he's there, and then they have sex. And you're like, what? You've said maybe a sentence to each other in this movie, and now...
But this is the first point when I think, okay, here comes the nudity.
Yeah,
not a sick. Once again, I'm not
there
like
are two love scenes. There's a blonde model with the photographer, and there's brunette with Rick.
The most, but beyond those, the most shocking is later when the women are swimming in the lake there, and how I'm like, okay, well, look, they're going to be topless.
It's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, here's where we get. I was like, nope.
Okay, I can't believe
it does make us seem really creepy, but we're just used to.
Yeah,
this is where this stuff happens.
It's the same thing.
So we're ready for it to happen.
It's the same thing we say a lot over on the action shelf too. It's like we're not going, oh man, we're bummed, we were wishing for it. It just seems like logically from other movies we've seen, that's especially these low budget movies. That's often what they feel they have to offer.
Yeah.
Here, no. So this movie has, they go hard in on the gore, and usually that is associated then with nudity as well. But here it's just gore.
Yeah, and there is some serious gore.
Yeah,
and
I will say though, watching this now and Frankenstein Island, I'm going like, man, I take back some of my comments about humanoids from the deep. It's really not that bad. There's a level of competency in the making of that movie that is non-existent in these things.
Oh man, this is, I mean,
like I long for the days of Corman at this point. Corman would never put out something this shitty.
Well, okay, that's also a very strong statement, John. But yes, this is sub Corman. This is definitely
maybe writing wise, but never this poorly shot.
No, that's true.
Yeah, never this incompetent.
It is.
There's a general competency to those Corman movies that even if they're dumb. Yeah, and also there's usually a few known actors who can deliver some level of performance.
Again, you are asking for the moon.
Hey, man, we got the great Barry Saddles here.
Where are my saddle dogs at? Where are you guys?
You think he's writing a regular newsletter to the Saddle Dogs?
I think so.
All right, all you Saddle Dogs, here's what Barry's been up to.
Here's my update. Watch for me on an episode of Equalizer.
You know what? All the things I didn't see an Equalizer, which I'm surprised by. He seems like a total Equalizer. Equalizer A-Team. Yeah, Equalizer A-Team, any of that kind of stuff. He did do an Airwolf, which was
man,
that's right.
He got to work with the great Ernest Borgnine.
I think you say Jan Michael Vincent,
or as I like to call him, the Borg.
Yeah, or maybe he was on in later seasons and got to work with Barry Van Dyke.
That's not a good trade.
No, remember when Jan Michael Vincent unfortunately had his drug issues, then it went to Barry Van Dyke. Yeah. I have that season as well in my box set.
Oh Jesus Lord, man!
I have the complete Blu-ray box set of Airwolf. Yeah, I love Airwolf. I love any 80s show that was about some kind of super vehicle.
Understood. Yeah.
That was a whole.
But you don't have Automan. He is the vehicle.
I don't have Automan. I would though. I do have Street Hawk. That's the one I do have that. I have Street Hawk and I have Knight Rider, of course. Because Knight Rider's the gold standard of those.
We often throw out love to Matt Gorley of many podcasts. He's just a goddamn funny guy.
Yeah.
But also our interests are very aligned.
Yeah.
Did you ever go to his SoundCloud to hear the project he did where he created theme songs to non-existent TV shows?
Yes, I have, which is amazing.
And the one for Stingray, which is his like subterranean whatever. Yeah. It's an anagram.
As often mentioned on his podcast, his love of Mask.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is very much obviously that same
It's
kind
like
of thing.
Matt Tracker. He'll bring up their actual names,
Yeah.
and Matt Myro, whoever he's doing a podcast
Yeah.
with, or Paul Russ will be like, "What are you on about?"
Well, because was it one of the Halloween
Mobile
movies?
Armored Strike Command.
One of the Halloween movies, they go to a costume shop and they have mask costumes, and he flips
Yes,
out about it.
Yeah, and he
And Paul
loses-
Rust is just going, "What are you talking about?"
he loses it, but I think that's great.
I love that, man.
Don't ever be ashamed of your nerdness, and that goes to everyone out there.
Dude-
If you are a huge fan of whatever,
Yeah.
you know, I talk about my love of Brave Star,
Yeah.
and I'll do that in public.
Brave
I'll talk about it.
Star.
I'm not ashamed.
I love Brave Star, man. Gorgoni and I have bandied the idea around of doing a Brave Star podcast. So, you know.
Yeah, I would have to be a part. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you definitely would. That would, and we have the title already, which is Braving Brave Star.
Oh my god. Write in, listeners, if you want to happen.
If you want
you
Braving
can
Brave
make it
Star to
happen.
exist, that can, by popular demand, we'll do it. Let's see here. Oh, okay. So then the old lady finds her way. The ancient priestess finds her way in and sees that the sarcophagus is empty. Oh, and she's very happy about this. Yes, you have risen. You have risen.
It's so weird. Okay, let's dive into this for half a sec.
Yeah.
She spent the first part of the movie warning people not to do this. Do not.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I cannot follow
Open
the
the
logic of this
tomb.
Character.
He will come back and he
Yeah.
will kill.
Yeah.
Now we see in this movie her running into the tomb going, "They opened it.
Yeah.
You have risen."
You and your
Seraphina,
army
whatever
of
your
the
name is.
dead.
and she's happy about it. And I'm like, "What is your game, lady?"
Yeah.
And then of course the mummy destroys her, kills her.
Yeah, I also wrote that down. Mummy kills her for some reason, is what I wrote.
Yep. It's not clear.
I don't quite. It seems like she was on his side.
Yeah.
That's what seems. The other thing is, here's my read on this. She was warning them. Then when it happened, I think she's just excited she was right, that would be the consequence. I told them, yes.
I see them laugh at me at the deli now.
Yeah. But I can't figure out why. Because the thing is, in other mummy movies, we've seen them kill people who have either wronged them or kill people to gain their strength and energy, right?
Right.
Which is pretty common. This mummy just seems to like to murder.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again,
He's just a murder. He's just like this. Actually, it turns out this guy wasn't a pharaoh or anything. He was just a serial killer that was running around ancient Egypt.
Well,
And now he's back at it again.
The curse seems to be this reactionary thing of like, don't mess with my gold or I will fuck you up. And
this woman
okay,
didn't
that's
mess
I
with the
guess
gold.
a motive enough. But in this movie, they're kind of indicating that the world will now suffer.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Because
He'll unleash his army
Tariq
of the
really
dead.
wanted the little crook, the little gold foil crook.
Yeah.
Like, well, I'll kill everyone that's living.
You took photos with me. And I didn't get a single cut or sign anything about them. I never signed a
Fuck you and
release.
Fuck your selfies.
Yeah. I know, that's the Eden. You never signed a release. You
That's
can't use those
it.
photos. How dare you? I'm going to murder all these people.
You knew that I wasn't looking my best.
Yeah.
You published them anyway.
Curses! So yeah, he kills her for some reason. And then this is where we see the army of the dead start to rise up from the sand.
And there's a couple of shots in there that I'm like, oh, good. That's a good
Yeah.
thing rising from the.
I mean, it's always effective, right? Like the dead rising from the ground is kind of a cheap, easy horror thing to show. And it
Again,
looks fine.
they look like zombies.
Yeah.
They're not really dressed like they were when they were in the tomb. Plus, they're not rising from the tomb where they went to sleep or died.
I thought it was weird that one of the
the
guys
fuck's
had
going
like
on?
Daisy Duke cutoffs. That was kind of an odd choice, but I like to be. It's hot in the desert, all right. I need to breathe.
One guy rises up with an "I'm with stupid" T-shirt on.
We're forced to dress in the leftovers of tourists.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. I saw the pyramid. My parents saw the pyramids, and all I got was this lousy T-shirt. I don't even understand.
I'm wearing something called Disney World Cairo. I don't even know what that is.
Disney World? What?
They worship a rat.
This is what the world has come to. They worship a rat. Uh,
We will follow you, Seraphima,
yeah,
all the way
and
to Disney World.
we get a scene where everybody wants to leave, but the photographer says, "Let's just hang in there for a couple more days," and everybody's like, "Okay." And then immediately, is it blonde woman that gets lost? And she's lost because she steps into a hallway and goes, "I'm lost."
Oh my God! All right, here's the thing. I was laughing so hard in this sequence because
I'm so lost.
She leaves a room.
Yeah.
Walks down a hallway. And what we're supposed to believe is that it's incredibly dark. However, they've lit this for photography. So she's acting as if she's in pitch blackness, but we're seeing her in fairly decent light. So we're seeing an actress suddenly looking like she's doing a bad Helen Keller.
Yeah.
And she's literally just like, and she does actually say, as she spins around with her arms out, I'm lost.
I'm lost.
She is within 25 feet of the turn in the corner from where she just was, but she's like, I'm lost. And then she finds the same there was a little slope that goes down like half a floor that one of the grave robbers also slid down earlier. So she falls down that and finds his corpse and freaks out again.
But don't worry,
her acting in the scene is so hilarious.
Rick is here to save her though, so he's like, "Hey, come on, I know the way," and then she's fine.
And then Rick goes, "By the way, I did your brunette friend. You into it? You wanna,
Yeah. Here we go. So he finds her and saves her. Then everybody's favorite Egyptian uncle guy shows up out of nowhere.
This also cracked me up because they are acting as if we, the audience, are happy to see him. We don't know this character. But he shows up.
Which one is this guy?
A local contact or something.
Yeah, who is this guy?
And they're like, "Hey, it's Mustafa," or whatever. And they're like, "We love seeing you."
Yeah, who is this guy? I don't see him listed here. It is something like Mustafa.
But he's just their favorite person who ever lived.
Who wants to party?
That's basically it. He's like, "Oh, I hear you guys have been having fun out here."
He's got a party shirt on and a mustache, and he's like, "Hello, girls."
And it is funny. It's across the board. Even people that have been acting weird or off, like the photographer guy. Yeah. And it's just like instantly whatever they've got going on, their drama drops, and they're like, "Mustafa,
all right,
the best."
That's right. It's like what college
their
comedy
Jeeps had broken down, and he's like, "Well, I'll drive you guys into town. Maybe Jenny or whatever her name is should have her fucking hand looked at."
Could we consider medical attention for the girl whose hand is burned to the bone?
Right.
Didn't think about it. And Gary wants to go because he goes, "You know where I can get some of that sweet, sweet hookah, baby." I'm not just the place, my pal.
I'll get you hooked up. They'll put anything in there. You want to smoke roast beef?
This guy is my favorite character because he wandered in out of some sort of 80s teen party movie.
It's true.
Oh,
it's like the character in Community.
Coogler.
Yeah, it's Coogler.
Mitch Hurwitz is Coogler, one of my favorite.
Yeah.
The Coog approves.
The Coog approves.
Let's just say I have an aversion to education.
And they're like, "Oh God, that's so Coogler."
And he's always in a bathrobe. He drives into the study room in a golf cart. Don't mind me, just playing through.
He gets his own theme song at one point.
Well, they do it. One of the tag endings is just a trailer for the Coogler movie. Yes. Columbia Pictures presents Mitchell D. Hurwitz as Coogler.
God damn it, so good.
Oh my God, Coogler's one of my favorite characters, and I love played by a guy who is not an actor at all, but is so funny.
That's why it's even funnier.
And he's 50. It's
yeah.
That's oh my God, one of my favorite characters, one of my favorite side characters.
This movie could have used Coogler.
This guy's we almost get a Coogler or a Van Wilder, or it does seem like he's like, "Hang on, I have to get back to the set of Porky's Goes to Cairo."
He drives them into town, drops them off, and does takes Gary and poor makeup artist lady to the hookah place, and says, "My friend here wants the good kind
Yeah.
of the hookah. He's like,
Yeah.
oh, you want a, and basically saying,
Don't
put drugs in
worry.
his. Let him smoke the drugs out of his hookah.
Don't
He's like, no
worry,
problem.
Mustafa's got this covered.
You're going to love this.
Yeah, you're gonna be high as a kite, my friend.
Little dried fruit, little bit of hashish. Woo.
Now I have to get back to Police Academy 8 Pyramid Patrol.
And everyone just stands up and goes, bye, Mustafa. He is beloved.
Yeah.
It was just so funny, his arrival, as if we, the audience, had been waiting. As if there would have been an applause break from a live studio audience.
The cast applauds, basically.
They basically do.
I laugh so much at this because I'm going, who is this guy? They're going like, hey, he's back!
If they had talked about him earlier in the movie, it would have maybe had slight impact.
Or give us a scene at the beginning where he drops him off or something.
And then he just shows up, and everyone's happy.
Oh, yes. I always bring the party.
Speaking of Mustafa, I need to take a werewolf break.
Right. No, come on. Is that a cover for a hookah?
Yeah. We're coming back.
We are back from the werewolf break there.
It was refreshing. I ate a banana as well.
Meanwhile, we cut back to the blonde, our beloved Mustafa or whatever. It takes some of them into town. Blonde model stays back with the photographer because they're a couple. And,
and she's basically setting up her own death. But yeah.
Because she keeps saying like, man, this is terrible. She's freaking out about like this is a terrible thing's happening. We really gotta leave. And the photographer's like, oh man, but just think about how famous we're gonna be when we get to publish these photos with a real mummy, baby. And she's like,
I know,
yeah,
it's
okay,
so stupid. And he's also going like, oh come on, 2 more days. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah,
I just got. She goes, how many photos will be in this thing?
I had the same thought as her. What has he not already captured on film here? Like,
well, again, he hasn't really gotten the perfect shots of the stupid clown makeup they paint on their faces. The whole idea, those scenes where it's like, here's my idea for the shot, and they just had these smears of like bright blue
they just
paint
kind
on
of
their
glop
cheeks
some makeup on them. It's like,
and you're like, that's not. I mean,
anything.
Even in the 80s, that would have been stupid.
That's nothing. There's no design to it. There's no thought behind it. It's literally just blap, blap, yep.
It's
it's glops of color on their face. It's just
sub-professional, completely amateurish clown
What am I supposed to do? One of my hands has been completely mangled, so I'm doing the best I can.
I'm just going to kind of take this brush and go right there on your face.
Yeah. So meanwhile, while our pal Gary is getting stoned here in the market, Jenny, our makeup girl, starts wandering around.
Yeah, she wants to look at necklaces or whatever, and she sees the mummy.
The mummy.
Briefly. Just walking around. Oh, we haven't actually talked about the mummy yet. We've seen it in the movie.
Yeah.
I mean, we've already said that he says nothing.
No.
There's no indication of a character or motivation.
No.
But what do you think of this mummy?
It's not the worst we've seen.
That's what I'm saying. It's not great.
It's better than Karis, man. It's much better than Karis. He's tall and lean, which I kind of like.
Tall and lean, yeah, I like that.
He's got this open, like blackened face.
Yeah, the face is kind of like, and I think they did a little research because I've seen some of those mummies unwrapped, and there's a point of the putrefaction or whatever. The stuff that they preserved it with did often make the skin kind of black and shiny.
Here's how bored I was by this movie, though. I'm watching this going, in middle school, we did a mummy thing in science class that was kind of cool, where we mummified cucumbers. We went
and you're just thinking about it,
and I'm just going but I'm just going like, man, in like 6th grade, that was kind of a fun thing to do with like 6th graders. Whoever that Mr. Kralovec, by the way, was my Mr. Kralovec was my 6th grade.
Shout out to Mr. Kralovec.
He was one of my favorite teachers. Mr. Kralovec did do fun science stuff. He was also
he's a credit to his profession.
He did get mocked a lot because he was one of those guys who's like, "Let's rap. I get you, kids."
Oh boy, the cool teachers.
He was the cool guy.
They're delightful.
But here's the thing: he was a nerd, and I was a nerd, so I thought he was cool. All the cool kids thought he was lame, but I thought Mr. Kralovec was cool, man, because he knew about Star Wars and stuff. And I was like, Cool, man.
I love that because I read some of the behind the scenes stuff on Stranger Things.
Yeah.
And the character of their science teacher was supposed to be, like kind of just in and out, whatever.
Yeah.
And they're like going, then we realized we could make this guy the kind of science teacher we always wished we'd had.
Yeah.
And he is one of my favorite characters
Yeah.
on the show because he is genuinely a good teacher,
Yeah.
genuinely knows his science shit, and is just a nerd and really is just like the older member of that
was
nerd group.
That was my high school creative writing teacher, was that for me.
Oh,
where he was the guy who we would hang out like at lunch in his class, eat lunch in his classroom, and talk about Batman and Battlestar Galactica and stuff like that. And it was, people know Gergoni and Listman, the guys who I still podcast with as on our other shows. We were the ones going like, you see Battlestar last night? It was super sweet.
I can't believe that Six got together.
And it was in that class where I was like, man, I'm going to miss Eccleston. I don't know if this Tennant guy will be a good doctor.
Oh, boy.
I look back on that and think I was crazy, but, when we didn't have any context, it was like, no, what? I liked Chris Eccleston.
And we still do.
But
then Tennant came in and
my favorite,
owned it.
He's my favorite doctor, so, so let's see. Anyway, to talk about anything other than this movie once again. So anyway,
so
she
the mummy's
sees this
okay,
mummy,
not great.
And then a guy grabs her and is like, what are you doing here? Why do you... Because there's also something just nefarious in general happening here.
I actually didn't understand.
There's something
what
with
that
guys
was about.
lifting baskets.
Yeah, I don't know.
Must be illegal goods or something. She escapes from this guy, and she tries to tell...
Oh, right, yeah. There's some sort of backstory through line thing about something nefarious that I have no idea what it is.
It's anyway, but she has managed to wiggle away from this guy here and run off. And she goes and tells Gary, who's stoned out of his mind at this point, that she saw a mummy. And he's like, what the hell, you mummy?
Oh, we also need to bring up that the guy who runs the hookah place loves Gary, the male model.
You have to come to my wedding. You have to come to my wedding. And I thought,
it's tomorrow night.
And the guy's like, your wedding? Hell yeah, I'll be there. Gary will definitely
Gary, the
be
male
there.
model's like, oh, that's great. Yeah, man, I'll come.
And I thought, what is the point of this? I then did not expect that the climax of it would happen at this wedding.
You should have seen that coming. It's like they put up a sign saying, mummies and Army of the Dead, whatever, are going to invade this wedding.
So she runs in and says, I saw the mummy. And he's like, what are you talking about? I don't know. Anyway, meanwhile, the mummy... We cut to the kitchen of this restaurant, and this guy turns around, and all of a sudden the mummy's there, and he's like, what the hell? And the mummy just puts a fucking meat cleaver in this dude's head.
Here's the thing I love about this.
Well, puts it into the wax fake head they've made.
Yeah, now,
looks like
this movie has conservatively 14 severed heads in it. And I'd say...
Which normally, big thumbs up from me on that front.
But I will say the makeup on... at least 3 of them is pretty good.
Yeah.
Then we get this scene, and what happens in this scene is they, for some reason, they have a pretty good after effect makeup, meaning the actual actor
it's in
with
the guy's head,
fake cleaver in his head.
Not bad.
Looks pretty good.
Yeah.
But they decided they wanted to actually show the contact, and they only show it for a split second, and that's more than long enough for you to see the worst looking fucking mannequin ever in the world.
I watch these movies sometimes and I go, I could really direct these low budget horror movies, because I'm going, shoot it the other way. Just use the back of it and show him put the knife in from, and then it wouldn't matter what the face looks like, because you could sell the back of somebody's head.
Or you could just keep the focus on the mummy's face and arm, and as long as you see a good contact.
Yeah, the thing is, like, he raises the thing up, he brings it down, then show like blood hit the mummy.
Yeah.
That's another thing. There's a lot of effective tools. The other thing is, maybe if you have 3 good decapitations, just use those and cut the other 11. Just stick to the... We've seen that. I think Dante was really good about that in Howling, because he didn't have much money on that. So it's like he picked and chose his moments where gore happened.
He still left in some really bad stop motion animation.
I mean,
actual animation.
And he acknowledges that in the making of, going we were and actually he cut a lot of it still. There was a lot of worse stop motion animation that he cut in that movie. But what I'm saying is, like, they sold he could have tried to go farther with it, and instead I think
he did all the smart stuff about what to keep in shadow,
and obviously then that
how to heighten this thing or that thing.
As we talked about, that then earned him the right to go up to the big leagues and do a big creature feature like Gremlins.
Yep.
Which is amazing, and I watch every Christmas because it's a great Christmas movie.
It really is.
You can learn about how Phoebe Cates' father died in a chimney dressed as Santa. One of the darkest scenes in film history, man.
It really is, and I just love that it exists.
Yeah.
Like that, there's no reason for that to be in that movie.
No, it puts a total damper on all the fun you've been having up to that point.
And she's like, "Yeah, I've never really liked Christmas." Oh, really? Why? And then we get that story, and you're like, "Good Lord!"
I want to talk to Chris Columbus, who wrote that script, about that. Like, what was that about?
Well, to tell you the truth, I mean,
you did talk to Chris Columbus?
That has actually happened in real life, and I have a feeling that Chris Columbus
read
just
about
ran
it.
across that. Like, I got to put that in there. It's just too good.
Yeah, another Chris Columbus Christmas movie. He's written a bunch.
Well, let's not forget Harry Potter.
I mean, kind of some Christmas in those.
It has a little bit of Christmas.
Yeah. So anyway, let's see here. Mommy kills the guy in the kitchen. Now we go to our swimming models who have their tops on, which is so surprising in this movie. Because it seems for a second like the water's up to their necks, and then you just clearly see, oh no, they have bathing suit tops on. Okay, wow, movie.
It's the brunette and the black model have gone for a midnight swim. And here's the thing, this isn't their home country. This is unfamiliar territory. They've been here a few days.
Yeah. They already know creepy goings on are happening too.
They're also out in the wild. I just don't see anyone saying, "Hey, it's dark. I don't know where I am, and I want to go swimming in an oasis."
Forget Mummy. There's other legitimate, real threats that could face them
like
out there.
all the cacti.
Yeah, all the. Oh my God, yeah. Watch out! Watch out! Hey, would be great if the photographer guy was like, "Watch out for the cacti."
Watch out for snakes.
That'd be a good one to get in here, actually.
It would be. But the whole thing is they go for a midnight swim
for a long time too. For a long time, there's a lot of buildup with this midnight swim.
They do, and they stay clothed, and then the black model's like, I'm good. I'm gonna head back.
Yeah.
And you're like, and the brunette goes, I'm gonna stay a little bit, and you're like, oh, there she goes.
I'm going, oh, they're both dead, is what I'm thinking. They'll both be killed as a result of this behavior. Yeah. As the black model is walking back to her tent, you see just a dead guy's hand out of the dirt go, and grab at her.
Oh yeah, that's great. It rises up, and here's the thing: I love the hand out of the ground. How is that Army of the Dead person seeing?
I guess.
Well, how does it know what it's grabbing?
I'm going Tremors style, and it's just the vibration.
Oh, Tremors. Okay,
yeah.
Could also be body heat, maybe.
Yeah, could
transmitted.
Be. We don't know how these these zombie mummies see and whatnot.
It's true. But it is kind of funny. It's like almost got her ankle, didn't get her ankle.
This is the first of the Army of the Dead I related to who went.
Not even worth it.
I'll try, but if I'm not gonna get it, I'm not pulling myself out of here, man. I'm comfortable in the dirt.
Yeah, that's true. He does no more rising. Just gave that arm a shot.
Meanwhile, another one of these guys starts approaching the woman in the water.
Yep.
And she sees this and runs away.
Yep. She gets out of the water.
Yeah.
But she has a heck of a time getting. Again, this is what I love, because this is actually, I think, the mummy's coming forward now.
I think it is because we just saw the mummy back in the city. Then he's here. Then he's back in the city again. This mummy seems to have some teleportation powers we're unaware of.
Or there's a really fast subterranean train that we're not aware of. But
only I know about the train.
This is like every zombie movie that's ever happened. It cracks me up because she gets out of the water, she sees it, she freaks out.
And by the way, she's just like, going for like 2 minutes.
Yeah, and she starts running.
Yeah.
And this zombie is walking, this mummy is walking slower than almost any zombie I've ever seen in a movie.
He's moving a little bit faster than Lon Chaney's Karis, but not much.
Talk about another great swipe when he tried to get at the car, and he's like, "Oh no, they're gone."
That's the best mummy swipe in film history.
I do love it. It's so good. You know what? You guys drive on.
Yeah, That's a
Cars
mummy.
is tired.
That's a mummy moving with the speed and agility of a doughy middle-aged drunk.
Again, I really wish you'd stop bringing up what I have on my business card. Doughy middle-aged drunk.
Middle-aged drunk. Can't figure out why you can't find work.
Doughy middle-aged drunk for hire is what I put underneath it.
What would we ever need him for?
But
I don't know. Better hold on to it just in case.
It worked for Luke Cage. Yeah. Oh wait, he put hero for hire.
Yo, that was your mistake. It was a misprint. It was supposed to say hero. Oh, damn.
But brunette model does you're waiting for it, and here it is, ladies and gentlemen. She trips while she's running.
Yes, of course.
So that gives the mummy a couple of seconds to get closer.
And it's one of my favorite horror things, which is she's screaming the entire time. She's running and screaming. It's not a scream of seeing it and then running. It's scream, see, continue screaming as you're running and tripping and falling.
Then as you trip.
Yeah.
And it's just funny that this woman is running through. It's sandy, but she's in what, Mexico? I have no idea where she is because we have palm trees, but we also have so much cacti.
So much cacti, and this is where the beginning of the very dark photography begins.
Yeah.
I'm going like, oh man, I'm losing track of a lot of this.
I can't quite remember because there's a sort of Rube Goldberg thing of things that happen to her. Yeah. She doesn't just go into the sand, but I can't remember what happens. At some point,
mummy just bites her, which is where I start to get confused. This is the first time he like gets her up against a tree and chomps into her shoulder, and I thought,
oh, that's
what?
Right. Yeah.
And this is the mummy doing it, not one of the zombie guys. That's the mummy's eating this lady, and I did think, wait a minute, we're going into... I was not ready. I did not know that the whole movie was going to go hard into zombie territory. This is the first instance of it, and you're like, wait, what? And I'm also going, hang on, he choked somebody? He put a cleaver in somebody's head? Now he's biting someone? What?
Do you think they should put a disclaimer on the front of the movie? Just to let audiences know.
I think so. Warning, zombie stuff imminent. Zombie stuff inside. Oh, yeah. Well, I'll put it back then. I want a mummy movie, not a zombie movie.
Jeez, I can't.
Kind of from here on, we're just in a zombie movie with Egyptian wrappings, you know.
Well, at this point, it does just become. This is the climax. It's kill after kill, some of which are very gruesome.
There's a lot of tearing people open and pulling their intestines out.
Yeah,
a lot of that.
One of the things I love is back at the camp.
Yeah.
I don't remember what happens, but somehow blonde model is alerted to, and black model as well is, maybe she runs back, is like, we got to get out of here. They get on horses because, again, remember, one of the Jeeps is broken down, the other one is in town.
Yeah.
So they get on their horses to ride out, and this killed me also. This cracked me up. At this point, Makeup Lady is back at camp, and so they're getting out of the camp. And Makeup Lady does not successfully get on one of the horses.
No.
Blonde Lady
is
grabbing her by the hand and is galloping on the horse and forcing the makeup woman to run alongside the horse.
My hand, though. If only she could have grabbed on with both hands.
I have never seen that in real life. Like you either stop the horse so the person can get on, or you do one of the cool cowboy things where you try and swing them up on there. Yeah. But this is just like, well, there's no room. I'm going to have to hold your hand and run as fast as you can.
And the Makeup Lady doesn't and gets eaten by zombie mummy.
she loses, they lose grip and she falls. And then the Army of the Damned, they get on her. Yeah. They eat her to pieces. It's pretty gruesome, actually.
It's very gruesome,
and it made me feel bad because I liked her character, and that's not saying much. Because
meanwhile, though, we should talk about the fact that the our friend Rick has found the gold inside the tomb.
Oh yeah,
so he found this is yet another mummy teleportation because he's out here eating people, and then he's going to suddenly be in the tomb here where he's found the gold room, and boy, this is where he's fully lost his mind at this point, Rick.
Oh.
He sees this gold, and I think I said, finds gold, goes instantly mad.
What's weird, though, is that your reading is that he goes mad. This is kind of the same performance he's done through the whole movie. So I didn't see it as him going insane. It's just him. It's like a victory dance. Because he is literally just like going, it's mine. He's doing that same weird laugh he's done the whole movie.
It's a crazed laugh, though.
Yeah, the laugh is crazed, but it was crazed in the very beginning too. But he is kind of like dancing, and he's he's looking at the
Finally.
the carving on the wall. He's like, I got your gold. Whatever your name is, I
however
got
you
your
pronounce
gold.
it. And then, of course, he turns around and the mummy's there to choke him.
Choke him.
Yeah.
But then we see he has a knife in his head too later when they find his body.
Well, no, they're going to find just his head because it's when
they find
the
just
photographer's neck's going to come into the tomb. And I
Right.
love the I don't know who did this, how did this happen, but he walks into the treasure room, he's like, gold, and then the head just drops from the ceiling onto
Yes. You're like, wait.
I backed it up a couple times to see if I could in any way figure out where. No, somebody just dropped it from above camera.
Is it one of the Army of the Dead? And the Pharaoh guy was like, look, you wait up there.
Yeah.
Second someone comes in. But what I also like,
This is gonna be great. This is gonna be great.
I would almost say this was intentional. But the whole idea was earlier in the movie, when you had the photographer talking to Rick, he said, I don't care about any of that stuff.
Yeah.
We get to this scene, he sees the room full of gold, and there is him going like, holy shit, look at all this awesome gold.
Yeah, there's some kind of message to this movie about greed.
It's like a commentary about the materialism of things. And then Rick's head falls out. And actually, Rick was a character I was waiting to die from the very beginning.
Oh, God,
mainly
yeah.
because I'm always ready for Johnny Lawrence to get his. So,
come on.
That's not true, actually. Season 4 of Cobra Kai.
He's really redeemed himself, man. He's really redeemed himself quite a bit.
He's the best around.
No one's gonna ever take him down.
Take you down.
Oh. They still have not played that song on Cobra Kai, and I think they're waiting till the end of the show to do it.
Wait, didn't they?
No.
I thought they did in the tournament scene.
Not this. No. No, they've done some stuff that sounds like it, but they haven't actually played it proper, which I love. Because like I said, I love the idea that it's going to be the last scene of the show or whatever is going to be that.
When we're going to get the crane kick, and it's going to be Samantha doing the crane kick.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. See, look, guys, we're talking about Cobra Kai.
You know why? Because Cobra Kai is great.
And by the time you guys hear this, Cobra Kai season 6 will probably have ended. So
well, they also shot season 4 and 5 of Cobra Kai together as one season.
Right, probably because all those actors are really old. The guy who plays Hawk is actually, I think, I heard 57.
Well, I think some of that might be to save the fact that they are going to be too old to play high schoolers at a certain point. So let's shoot as much as we can because we know it's a hit. So
yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So anyway, he runs out of there quickly now that he drops all the gold and the head and books
the
it
photographer
out of there
gets
now,
the fuck out of there.
And goes outside to where everyone is being attacked by the mummies. And the photographer goes, I know, I'll get my gun. And I'm going like, of course. How have I not? I've been waiting for this. Somebody's got to get a gun and shoot at these mummies where nothing happens. And that's what happens here.
We do get the classic shooting at the mummy himself, and we see impact, but nothing affects the mummy.
Yeah. And so then this is when the mummy gets up to the photographer and grabs him by the throat, but he's not choking him. He's burning through his throat with his hand.
Yeah.
And this is where new mummy power. We haven't seen this before.
Actually, I think this was left over from the proposed Man-Thing series. Because whatever knows fear burns at the Man-Thing's touch.
It's true, man. Yes, yeah. We sure. Do we also get the Ghost Rider penance stare in here at some point?
Oh, penance stare!
I do love the penance stare, man. The penance stare.
I thought it was. I mean,
cool-ass
those
power.
Movies were crap, but we did get penance stare, and I thought it was pretty well done. Pretty well done.
There's some moments in that first one.
Some of the visuals
that are okay,
of Ghost Rider itself.
Yeah,
like the visuals.
The
like,
second one,
cool.
The second one is across the board terrible. But the first,
I did not mind the shot of Sam Elliott cowboy Ghost Rider riding alongside motorcycle Ghost Rider.
Ghost Riders in the sky. They had to play that, right? Like they
did.
And that's actually, that may be the coolest shot in the movie, is the two of them riding side by side as Ghost Riders, and that song is playing. And then Sam Elliott's just like,
oh right, when they do, you're the best around. Nothing's ever gonna take you down.
The problem is you get really excited, and then Sam Elliott's just like, well, I have to go now. And you're like, wait, why isn't he helping Johnny Blaze?
Wait, I thought you play into the story.
But
that sure was fun.
I only had one last ride in me, and it was just to ride you to the final battle. Yeah. You're on your own now. What?
Yeah. Awful nice riding with you, Johnny. See you later.
I want to see both Ghost Riders fight Wes Bentley, though.
I've always wanted to see Wes Bentley fighting 2 Ghost Riders.
I mean, Wes Bentley also in that movie is going for it as a supervillain. He doesn't have much to do, but I like that guy as an actor a lot. So
wait, are you saying we don't want to talk anymore about Dawn of the Mummy? We're almost there, man. We're almost
the second
end.
we're talking about the Nicolas Cage Ghost Rider, we really don't want to talk about
especially with any kind of nostalgia.
Yeah, yeah, but where you're going like, well, it wasn't that bad if you think about it.
When you're comparing it with Frankenstein Island and Dawn of the Mummy.
Oh, I mean, Ghost Rider's an across the board AFI 100 masterpiece compared to these things.
It's fucking the third man, is what it is.
Oh my god, it's incredible.
Not literally fucking the third man.
Yeah.
That'd be horrible. This is the now Voyager of superhero movies. But anyway, so
the mummy's burning his throat out, but then also decides to rip his guts out too, which I thought he's burned
one
through
from
his
column
throat,
A, one from column B,
and then he's like, once he's on the ground with his throat burned all the way through, he's like, yeah, let me get at them intestines while I'm at it.
He's killing him to death.
They really loved
doubling down.
They really loved their pulling intestines out effect because they go to that well a lot, including, let's cut back to now in the city.
Very nice.
Gary is at that hookah guy's wedding now.
Yeah, the hookah guy's wedding is basically, they only had the one street scene set. So they're at the hookah place, and the big parade comes in, and there's being led by a belly dancer. Okay,
we get a lot of
this. And then
we get
the
a lot
wife
of this.
or the bride to be in her white wedding gown, and Greg, the male model's like, "That's your wife? Oh man, she's pretty hot. Congratulations! Yeah. I'm gonna give you this cowboy hat."
And then Billy Idol shows up and said, "It's a nice day for a white wedding." Sorry,
very good. Yes,
you
Billy
said
Idol
you said the white wedding dress, and I couldn't not do it. More
hey,
Billy Idol references.
What have you done?
Yeah.
Hey, little sister, you're the only one.
Yeah. Pretty good. So I could have used that. Could have used some Billy Idol in this movie, man. Could have used anything in this movie.
I will tell you the one thing I liked about this movie, but we're not there yet.
Okay. Yeah.
Anyway, everything's going to be very happy, but the army
is like, we better. But how do we first see them? They're like, wait a minute.
Well, they're disguised as waiters.
They're in the tuxedos with the trays, and we see them turn around, and it's just a dead guy face.
Silver trays, and they've got the towel over their forearm.
Crab puff.
Did somebody order?
Did you want a mini taco?
Who had the tapas?
Champagne.
That would have made this movie so much better if they had been in disguise as waiters at the wedding. But no.
Yeah. How'd they sneak in undiscovered? They're just melting and like,
And you cut to the Pharaoh who just gives him like a little arm pump like, yes, it worked.
Perfect. They didn't see a thing. This is great. No, they go, well, where's the bride if we're going to start the ceremony? And they open up the curtain to the back, and she's just being eaten by a bunch of guys.
What's hilarious is because we don't quite know the sequence of events. Like she's led in, they do some talking, and then it's like, hey, what's that noise back there? Then they open the curtains, and the bride is just laid out on a table while Army of the Dead people are literally eating her organs.
My favorite part is two of the guys are eating, and one of them literally turns to the other one with like one of her organs and goes, "Hey, you want some?"
Oh yeah,
there's a guy who's like, "Oh, that's good kidney. Hey, you want a piece?"
That's good. That was some good zombie acting. They're like going, you know what? I like that. Leave it in.
No, I love the idea that one of these zombie extras is like, I'm gonna put a spin on it. I'm gonna do something with it.
No, I mean, if it doesn't work, cut it. But I'm feeling it.
I got a little thing here. Let me just. We'll just.
You know what?
Shot.
I'm trusting your instincts. You go, man. You go.
I love this so much, man. It was so weird. Because at this point, I'm just going, oh, this movie's so off the rails by now that let's do it, man. Let's give the zombies some personality, you know? I really want to get to know the zombies.
They at this point, this is we've got the wind up. Now we're in the end game, chaos. And it is just full on massacre.
I think at a certain point, my Yeah, my notes just say mummies chowing down. Like it just is like we're just eating people left and right.
And then everyone's screaming. The people are running away from the wedding, and and there are zombies. This is similar to Humanoids from the Deep, and the fact that the Army of the Dead, the lady was talking about.
Yeah,
the Army of the Dead is 6 guys, maybe.
Yeah, it's about 6 guys. Yeah. It's roughly 6 gentlemen.
Mummy and 6 gentlemen.
Yeah. He's and you got this one guy who's shooting at them without any effect, but he's got a rifle. And he's like, "Get behind me, everyone! I'll shoot them." Oh, that doesn't do anything.
Oh shit!
Never mind. Never mind.
That so the nefarious stuff was tied to Rick, the grave robber guy from the beginning.
Yeah.
And it did involve, I guess maybe they were going to steal the gold, smuggle it, whatever, illegally, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But also it involved dynamite. That's important for here.
Yes, that is because the models who survive the attack at the tents go, "Let's run into town. That's where we'll be safe." Oh no, they're attacking here too. And that's when they go, "Wait, in this shack there's a bunch of dynamite. We can use that to defeat the mummy."
Yeah.
And so they run out and they each throw a stick of dynamite and it doesn't do shit. So it does nothing. And and so then I like, isn't this where our old friend Mustafa shows up here? Is that who this guy is? And he goes,
I think Mustafa, isn't he the one with the gun that's like, "I've got it"?
No, that's a different guy.
Oh, it's a different guy, right?
Because that guy gets eaten. But then Mustafa shows up and he's like, "What are you doing?" And they're like, "Well, we threw dynamite." They're like, "No, you need much more dynamite to defeat him." That was the problem. They didn't use enough dynamite on the mummy. And so they lure him into the shack where they have rigged up the dynamite to explode.
Yeah, quickly.
I don't know. But also, like, how'd they get the timing of this to work? It's not like they have a detonator or something. It's not a time
bomb. In this crowd, especially of models.
Yeah.
Who knows how to rig dynamite?
I guess Mustafa does, right?
Oh, maybe Mustafa does. Sure, let's go with that.
I know a thing or two about a thing or two.
And then the entire crowd goes, "Oh, Mustafa.
Yay!
It's me!"
Well, in fact, because the mummy goes in there and the thing blows up and we just see the burning shack. And literally, everybody is going, "Yay!" Yeah. And didn't Gary survive too? Because he leaps in at the last minute here. He's like, "I made it too!"
Gary survives, and the blonde model survives. Those are the only people that survive.
And Mustafa.
And
he's like, "Where to go?"
There was a part earlier when Rick was still alive in the Room of Gold where he goes, there was something about, he figures out something about, the sun. He figures out something about where the hidden Room of Gold is based on some lore.
Yeah, none of it
matters.
And
then
when he's in there, and
he goes, "Yeah, light." And then I'm like, okay, is this going to tie in with how to defeat the mummy? No, they literally put the mummy in a shack full of explosives and blow it up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, really? That's how you're going to get rid of the supernatural being?
Yeah.
And then, of course, we get the tag.
Which is the hand of the mummy coming up.
Out of the flaming rubble of the while everyone's walking off happy that they've survived, we see that mummy's hand rise out of the burning rubble.
Which I thought was pretty. I thought that was pretty cheap, but I thought even cheaper of him to go, "I'll be back."
Yeah, like Seraphima will return in
Mummy 2
mid-afternoon of the mummy.
That's right. Yeah. And Mustafa says, "Now I have to get back to the set of Revenge of the Nerds, Middle Eastern Madness."
Booger goes to White Castle.
Oh, that Booger. What will he do next?
But the,
Hey, by the time Curtis Armstrong is saying no to Revenge of the Nerds sequels, you're really in trouble.
Yeah,
because he's not in that last one. I don't think. I think it's just Robert Carradine by the end of it.
Can I just say that I was there on set when they filmed the OnStar Batman commercial, which was the first time they had gotten the 1989 Batman Batmobile out of the garage.
Oh shit, man! You were in
with Curtis Armstrong playing the Joker. for that commercial.
Yes, I remember this now that you say this. Also, man,
They had dressed their New York street as Gotham, and it basically was the Batmobile chasing the Joker and the
that had to be
Joker-mobile.
pretty fucking exciting to see, man.
It was, and the guy that in the commercials played Batman.
Yeah.
I will say physically,
Yeah,
looks better than any of the live action Batman we got in the films. Like, he looked like the character. It was obviously quasi actor, quasi bodybuilder guy.
Yeah, I was
like,
gonna say,
Jesus Christ, that is Batman.
I think that's often why we don't get that Batman, is because guys who are actually built like that tend not to be good actors.
Yeah, but all he had to do was push the OnStar button and say something like,
"Yeah,
where's the Joker going?" or whatever. Fuck.
Yeah.
Anyway,
but you were in the presence of greatness, man, and I don't mean Curtis Armstrong. I mean that awesome Batmobile.
Oh, dude, I've sat in it.
Oh my God, I'm so jealous, because that is my favorite Batmobile. That Anton First Batmobile.
That seat is tiny, by the way, and right next to it is this huge tank where a lot of the gas that they use to shoot the flames out the back is.
Yeah.
But say, yes, I have been in the Batmobile.
By the time this actually comes out, I'm sure there'll already be a second Robert Pattinson Batmobile. But I fucking love the design of this new muscle car Batmobile that's firing, fire out the back of it.
I haven't seen it other than in the trailer, and it looks like a black muscle car, which is fine. I like the idea of Batman starting out like in the
jet
comics,
engine
just
on the back of it,
souped up car.
But it's got the exhaust. I'm tired of.
I'm not sure I've seen it.
I'm tired
of in that detail.
Yeah. Oh, I've looked at the toys and stuff. I mean, I have the Lego set on pre-order. Let's be honest here. I'm all in. Anyway, that's the end of this piece of shit. Don't watch it.
But I haven't said the thing I like.
Oh, what was the one thing you liked?
The theme at the end of the movie that runs over the credits is actually pretty good. Like, I was sitting there listening to that theme, and I was like going, it's 80s.
Yeah.
It's like a mix of, it sounds like they're trying to do low rent Phantom of the Opera, kind of Andrew Lloyd Webber.
It does have, it has some synth in it, right?
Yeah, it has some
it's
synth,
a little
but also
carpentry.
Yeah, they've also worked in Middle Eastern like things to it. I'm like, that's actually a pretty good theme. That belongs on a much better movie.
Let's steal it, man.
Okay.
I mean, Tarantino did that. He took whatever that Japanese movie is, and he took the Kill Bill theme from it, because he always said he thought the theme was better than the movie. That like down. Yeah. I don't know what that's from. Some Japanese movie. He always like. I love that. That's very.
It really is good. Though.
But him just going like, I always thought that movie sucked, but the theme ruled, so I just stole it and put it in a better movie.
Well, Kill Bill is just him clipping. I mean, it's literally a collage art of him going, okay, here's they call her One Eye. Mm-hmm. Let's see, here's some of Lady Snowblood. Yeah, get that in there.
And I like all those movies he's referencing, but I like Kill Bill better than any of them.
It's true. Kill Bill, I still want to see the full cut.
The whole bloody affair, yeah. Which he has screened. He has screened it a few times, and I hear it's amazing. But
why hasn't it been released?
I don't know. He keeps talking about, oh yeah, we got to put out a Blu-ray of that. But they haven't as of yet, because look, I'll buy it, man. But dude, all of his work is just him cobbling from stuff he loves, but turning it into something amazing.
Yeah, it's just sometimes it's really evident. Sometimes you're going, oh, yep, that's the exact same angle. Yep, oh, that's the exact same choreography on that scene.
Dude, you'll never hear me say anything unkind about that man. He's a hero of mine, and I love all of his work.
Whew. Also, you're very fond of women's feet.
That is the thing that as the movies have gone on, you really do start to pick up on that and go like, all right, yeah, feet,
okay. All right, buddy.
Yeah, I just kind of move past that and go like, love the dialogue. If he wants to show the feet too, fine, but just I'm here for the dialogue. Anyway, and of course the bloodshed, because we know about my gorehound nature. So, I'm sitting there I love Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I'm sitting there in the theater going, when is it gonna get real bloody? And then it does, and I was happy.
And suddenly I felt complete.
I was enjoying all the character stuff, and I'm also going, when are they gonna cut loose and kill some people? Oh, and then he more than delivered for me. So he's always got my back in that department.
And that is what he's worried about first and foremost.
Yeah. When are we going to get
How's John Campbell going to take it?
Yeah, because then look, all I need is about 10 to 20 minutes at the end where I'm going, oh. So yeah. Anyway, this movie does have that gore, but it doesn't it didn't. Nothing made me think that. It was more just like, oh, weird.
No, this movie shit. Don't watch
I was
it.
going. It's weird that mummies are ripping people open. I thought this was strange. Is more my reaction to the gore in this movie than really enjoying it. Like that once again, you talk about the ending of this being kind of like the end of Humanoids of the Deep. That was when I was watching this going, shit, Humanoids of the Deep is better than this.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to be thinking about.
That is thin, but yeah. This could have used some Doug McClure.
Where's Doug McClure? Hello, I'm Rick, the treasure hunter. Yes. Could have used a little Charlton Heston,
Oh,
that's the thing. We wanted Chuck Heston in this movie, not in The Awakening. You want him in this kind of mummy movie.
Yeah. And I do want him calling the mummy a bastard or something like that. You slimy bastard.
Come at me, you Egyptian undead bastard. Like, that's the thing you want. That's what you want in a movie, right? Like, that's the thing where it's like, and you want him with a shotgun going, come at me.
This is going to be our last mummy for a while, right? Until maybe Monster Squad?
Yes, I believe you're right. Yeah. We go hard into the vampires for a little bit.
Blah
Indeed, because next week things are going to get stylized and they're going to get sexy.
Stylized sexy, ladies and gentlemen. A very postmodern take on vampirism.
It is Tony Scott's The Hunger. We finally get David Bowie in one of our movies to talk about. David Bowie.
That's a gentleman who, I just loved and still love. R.I.P.
Same here, man. I love Bowie. See these eyes are green.
He did, as far as I can remember, he did not supply a song for the
Hunger
soundtrack.
I don't think he did. No, I don't think he did. It's been a long time since I've seen The Hunger.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Oh, we'll talk about. But remind me next week to tell the story of how I ended up seeing The Hunger, because it's kind of a weird story.
I will.
Yeah.
Oh, it's because you bumped into Catherine Deneuve in the airport, and she's like, "Would you like a screener copy of one of my films?"
You got it exactly. No, but I'll talk about how my family came to accidentally end up with a copy of The Hunger. So.
So for our listeners, please do not watch The Hunger Games.
No, make sure you're watching because when you type in The Hunger into IMDb, it does come up with every Hunger Games movie first. Is right. So yeah.
I remember it as being okay.
I do love the stylized filmmaking of Tony Scott. Like, I just like the way that guy shot movies. It is a
beautiful movie.
Yeah,
beautifully shot, and of course, beautiful actresses in it.
Yep.
And it's a fairly interesting take on vampires, but it's also, as I remember, kind of boring.
Yeah, that's my memory of it too. It's a little sleepy.
But young Susan Sarandon,
Catherine Deneuve,
young Anne Magnuson in one of her first little cameo roles. And it is Bowie in heavy old age makeup.
Yes, and also you're just like, Bowie in a vampire movie makes all the fucking sense in the world.
It really does.
My God, of course, he was born to be a vampire.
You're sitting there going, yeah, I could have done without the cod piece and the big Tina Turner wig. Oh, wait, sorry. That's Labyrinth. That's when he's the Goblin King.
Yeah, but that's how I just always think of him anyway, so it doesn't matter, no matter what he's doing. Also, I'm just looking here. I don't remember this. Very, very young, early film of Willem Dafoe.
Oh, shit. I don't remember that.
Yeah.
I remember him in Streets of Fire.
A Rock and Roll Fable. Yes.
Oh, Michael Paré, you should have been bigger than you were.
Yeah, man. Paré kind of burned himself out there.
Well, he also was just a monotone actor.
No, he had his run, though. Anyway, we'll talk about The Hunger next week. But that is going to do it for this week's episode of Campbell and Jones Meet the Monsters. I'm John Campbell.
I'm Brendan Jones.
And remember, there are such things as monsters.
And you're the best around.